The Gipper head stays on until we get a first viewer. I can stand having it on that long. Almost blends with my neck. We'll start asking questions, taking questions. Looks like we might have a viewer now. Until there's a Gipper back from the dead. Actually, no, we might start answering questions before then. See, it'll really freak people out when they join up. Oh, we lost a viewer. No, we had one viewer and then we lost him. Sorry, it wasn't exciting enough. And if you're watching the pre-recorded thing, which you obviously are, you might want to skip ahead. I probably would. I wonder if I make this thing dirty. I can adjust this, make the light a little better. If I hear maybe alternate side of the camera. Nah. Can't see anything with this mask on. Oh well. Okay, enough fooling around. Wow. Okay. I can breathe. I might come back later. I assume everyone can hear me. Let me check the sound. I assume everyone can hear me. Okay. Let's go over questions and stuff that we've gotten in the past couple of days or hours. I got a question in Spanish. I think it's asking about hacking. Someone else might want to help him better instead of translating, but if he's watching, this is what he sent me. I could translate it. I assume it's asking about which firmware for GH1 hacking, and all firmwares that come with the GH1 are hackable, so I still don't have anybody watching. This is kind of sad. Let's see if I can aim this in a better way where we can kind of look at the screen and look at that. Other questions that got asked. Oopsie. MP4 podcasts want to know for getting 24p out of 60p, 30p, and 60i. 30p to 24p, I do have that one tutorial for the 5D. Out of those three, 30p to 24p is the worst. Between 60p can be drop frame to 24p. So you're basically cutting out, what is it, every third frame. Anyway, it makes it a little bit jittery. I have some videos that display that. I'd need to find them that I shot at 720p 60. And 60i needs to be converted to progressive, and Magic Bullet does that. I should probably look on other questions in here. I do have a lot, and it's just a matter of finding them. Asking questions about a few on the Minecraft demo. If you come in here, I can help with that. Okay, Macro Tiger off. What is the fastest color output we can do? I mean the highest bitrate output using the HDMI. What kind of capture stuff can I use? That is, if I'm using an SSD hard drive, what do I need with it? Just an okay, there's an HDMI thread over at Personal View. personal-view.com, and I think they still have an HDMI thread up somewhere. Where they're still testing. Right now there's a cadence problem with getting 24p off of the GH2. I'm looking to see if there's any update to that. I don't believe there is. You know what? Usually we get at least one viewer out of this stuff, but tonight we're not getting any, which is kind of odd. We had one to begin with and we lost it. So this is Splash Top Asus Transformer, so we're going to look and see if we're actually on live. I'm a little worried we might not be. Live now. For some reason we're not showing up again. I show up when it's the other channel. Maybe there's too many people. See all these, when you go to live, YouTube live, there's a bunch of these spam channels that are running all the time, and I'm pretty sure they're not live, even though they say they're live. Maybe they just want hits off of that being on that all the time. Anyway, this will show up in the recently broadcast at least, but never live. I don't know why. I'm using a mouse with this, so that's why you don't see. Okay. Yeah, MP4 Podcast asked a question about still quality. Between the GH2 and the GH1, which one is better for stills? I haven't tested the still quality between the two in terms of JPEG, but you're much better off. Let me see if anyone's in the live chat now. No, still no one there. See, there's something that I couldn't ever show before. Live and live. Oh, I can zoom this. This shows how sad this is. Let me see if I can get here. No, we can't. I've got the anamorphic lens attached, so you can't really see that. I can put the diopter on. Anyway, there's like one viewer, and that one viewer is me. I'm watching myself live. Anyway. Now I'm watching myself turn around. found the thing live, which is really quite odd. Back to the question at hand. The raw, if you go to, what's the name of the place? dpreview. Yeah, dpreview.com. You can test the different cameras against each other and load up the raw GH2 versus other cameras. And I actually use the GH2 compares very well even up to the 7D, up to ISO 800 or so. But that's only in the RAW mode. JPEG mode, it's very, very ugly. It's worse than a lot of bigger size DSLRs in JPEG quality. But if you're going to take stills with either camera, use the RAW mode. I doubt there's a huge difference between the GH1 and the GH2 when it comes to RAW. But that's a good test since I have both cameras. As far as the GH2 versus the 7D or other Canon cameras in 60p mode, there is a ton of aliasing. Now, there's that one company that's coming out with the OLPF. Just found something. For the 5D, and I've made one for the 7D, and that improves it a bit, but it's still going to be like standard definition quality in the 720p mode of those cameras. So it's not well, you can see the samples that I have on my other channel. This is my second channel, but if you click and go to Eyepatch Entertainment, I've got quite a few 720p samples from the 7D. And the 60D, T2i, T3i all have the same 720p mode, so they're all going to have that same similar quality for 60p. The highest quality 60p mode is going to be the NEX5, the Sony NEX5, which has got the 1080p 60 at 28 megabits. I would expect to see a little bit of pixelization because 28 megabits isn't enough bit rate for 60 frames per second at 1080p, but it's still going to probably be sharper than a hacked GH2. I don't know. That'd be a good test if I decide to get that camera. I haven't decided which camera is going to be next for testing. Just check and make sure that this is still working, and it is. I don't know if I should sit like that or sit like this. Still, it's been 16 minutes and nobody shows up because let's see if I can share this live. Try it in a second. This is irritating because when I did this before, I would at least get a few people that would show up. Now I got to put it back in the dock so I can type. While I'm doing that, we get some time with Mr. Reagan here. Okay, maybe I'm going a little bit nutty. Okay, I twittered it. I'll +1 it, whatever that'll do. I don't think it'll do much at this point, but... That's really odd. Maybe I'll stay on here for a little while and see what happens. Usually when I do this, there's several people joining in no matter what, but no, I'm not. Oh, someone got, about a month ago, someone got an ISO 42 off of eBay. I wanted to get it. Only went for about like $2,400, but if you have it and you watch any of these videos, I want to hear how it turned out. It was kind of hidden at the time. Let me see what other messages I have that are easily accessible. Well, let's see what else there is to talk about in terms of other cameras. I'm gonna do another live show on not October, I guess it's November 3rd when Canon does their thing and does their thing. We can talk about the new cameras that are coming out. Okay, I don't need to type no more. Okay, so the buzz right now for November 3rd is there's going to be 2 Canon cameras and the Scarlett. So saying that the Canon is not going to be a 5D Mark III, but it's going to have, one's going to be an EOS mount and one's going to be a PL mount. For those that don't know, PL mount's the standard professional cine movie lens mount. Typically the lenses in that cost a lot of money. You're looking at lenses that can start at, well, several hundred for an old used lens up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. So anyway, and for Scarlett, we don't know a whole lot about what it's going to be now, whether it's still going to be 2/3 or if the imager got changed or what other changes happen. But they do say that they're going to start shipping this year, so I'm crossing my fingers hoping that it's a larger imager. But yeah, the Canon camera should be interesting because they don't really have a competitor. You know, Sony has the FS100 and F3, and Panasonic has the AF100. So if it's their competitor to either of those cameras, it's probably going to be somewhere between let's say $4,000 to $15,000 for the Canon camera. Should be interesting what they actually announce or release. Still, nobody. Maybe it's because I'm doing this on my second channel, and that second channel doesn't quite work in terms of getting viewers off of live, but I don't see I'll try this again. Yeah, people that are just browsing by or whatever, even other people, it's for some... What is that? If you go to YouTube Live, especially right now, if you're watching this later, it'll show up on the side, but the live channels are supposed to show up in here, and what's showing up in there is like the spammy stuff, the stuff that sits there all the time and it's not actual live broadcasting. Like that Dodge Journey thing has been there for a couple of days. I don't know. Maybe they found it's a cheap way to get views on YouTube anyway. It's kind of a... If you schedule a live show, it'll show up in this next 24 hours. Or the next few days. A lot of those things look real spammy, but could just be all the different languages that people deal with. So we've been doing this, 25 minutes now? And it's hard to find stuff to go on about because I'm just talking to myself without the user interaction. I could talk about good deals too, in terms of cameras. I don't mind finding that for you while I'm doing this live. A lot of questions asked about anamorphic adapters and filters and whatnot. The Cinemorph thing is interesting, and in the right situation, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the Cinemorph... Oh, where's a filter? Let's say that this is a filter. So the Cinemorph is like a piece of glass, and you can, I think it's Vid Atlantic that sells them. Anyway, the Cinemorph is a fake anamorphic adapter that basically has a piece of really fine twine or string or fishing line in the middle, and in front of, well, behind that, the rear collapses down into an oval. What that does is that gives you oval bokeh that's sort of like, say, the what you'd see with an anamorphic adapter. And what the fishing line stuff does is when you get a source of light right into it, it'll show, that string will look like a flare, like an anamorphic adapter. And in the right situation, it can look fairly similar, but it isn't really... It's definitely not an anamorphic adapter, and it won't do all the other weird things that you'd get with an anamorphic adapter. But for someone who just wants to spend $100 or so and can't afford another type of adapter, it's a good thing to play around with and learn with. Now, one thing to remember, it only works with long lenses because of that oval in the back, so you can only use it on lenses that are, I think, 50 millimeter and above, so no wide angle shots with it, unless you had a really, really small image sensor camera. Still no live. You know what? I really do think this is a problem with this particular channel not being able to show up live. Maybe I'll try this again on my other channel, but I hate that messes up all the... I add another video to my videos, and I know people get irritated when I have a live video on that other channel. Oh, MP4 podcast about the moray that you saw in 1 in a Million. Moray can happen with the GH1 and GH2, but only with specific bright colors. So we're not talking about a luminance moray, we're talking about a color moire, and it would be very, very weird and rare to see. Usually most lines that you see through the sky are a black line. So let's talk about something that would moire on a Canon camera. Say really fine pattern of tiles on a roof. Usually that would be black, and that would cause a color moire. On a GH1 or GH2, and I think it's due to the color sampling being only 420. If you had it on maybe a really fine red texture on a brick or something, that could possibly do the same thing, but it would be very rare. I haven't seen it myself on any of my own footage, but you can make a chart that does it. If you had like a resolution chart with only in red, then you'd be able to see it. Yeah, so this has been 30 minutes. I'm going to stop this broadcast now. And I know I should try again if I actually schedule an event beforehand. But sometimes I don't know what is going on, so anyway, later.